Good evening. You guys look very serious. Eh? Please don't be serious. Please smile with me. When I smile, you must smile. Eh? Right? Okay. So how are we going to run this? We're going to run a couple of few slides. And after that, we'll try and engage if there's any questions that you guys might have once we are done with the presentation. I'll be happy to field those questions. But let me start by first thanking you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come and attend this session here today. For those of you that have been following us, this is our second installment on our personal finance series talks for this year. We started last month with a series called Financial Skitty Pit. I don't know if there's many of you that did look at the video on our YouTube channel where we posted the video. So basically in that presentation we looked at 4 very important financial pitfalls that we commit as people and as individuals, right? One of the things I was talking about is how we don't actually have a budget, right? We actually go and spend our money without knowing exactly what we are spending our money on and where are we spending our money, only to realize a month or 2 later that actually some of the things that we bought we should not have even bought. So those are some of the things that we take for granted. A budget might sound like a cliche, but I tell you, it is the only way in which you can be able to manage your money and manage how you spend your money. The other thing that we shared with our attendants on the previous session is how many of us spend our time looking at our credit profiles? A lot of us don't, right? But it's amazing what an understanding of your credit profile can do for you. Once you have a thorough understanding of where your profile is and what your credit score is, it opens up a world of opportunities that none of us at times are quite aware. So our session today is called Consequently and For That Reason. The talk is looking at the interrelatedness or the relationship between our money and how we spend our money and our quality of life. Does that make sense? Now, if there's one thing in this life that a lot of us love, not even like, but a lot of us love is money. But also, if there's anything in this life that a lot of us love to hate, it is still money. Does that make sense? Right? So a lot of us love money, but a lot of us also do what? Love to hate money. Money for us is like a survival mechanism, especially in the society that we live in. So if we don't have money, it becomes very difficult to do what? To survive in this world that we live in. But also, money has a very bad reputation. How many of you would agree with me on that one? Money actually has a very bad what? Bad reputation. And I'll tell you why. The reason why we say it has a bad reputation, it is because money has been cited as the reason for many civil wars. Money has been cited for many terrorism acts that we see out there. In fact, money has a bad reputation that most of us associate our ill health with money. Many of us associate our broken relationships with money. So that's what we mean when we say money has a what? Money has a bad reputation. There's this fun, important quote from the United Nations resolution that was taken in 2012. It says, happiness is a fundamental human goal and a universal aspiration. Now let me repeat that. Happiness is a what? Are you here? So happiness is a what? Is a fundamental human what? Human goal. How many of us want to be happy? I suppose all of us want to be happy. So happiness is a fundamental human goal and it is a universal aspiration. We all want to attain this type of happiness. So I want to submit to you therefore that money is actually not the problem. Money isn't the problem, but the problem is how we manage our money at the end of the day. Now they say that the average person makes about 5 different financial decisions whether you are aware or you're not aware. Let me repeat that. Many of us make about 5 different financial or money decisions on a daily basis, whether we are aware of that or we are not aware. Now these range from the amount of money that you put in your car for petrol. This also includes the amount of money that we spend on your taxi fare. Right up to things like the amount of money that we spend to buy coffee or our favorite lunch. Right? So already you're sitting at 4 or 5 decisions right from the morning. This also includes things like the amount of money that we put aside for things like our investments and our retirement planning for those that have retirement plans, but also things like the amount of money that we give to our siblings or our children. So the average person makes about 5 different financial decisions each day, whether you are aware or you're not aware. So what does that mean then? It means that some of the times we are not aware that we are actually taking financial decisions. But the moment we start realizing that every decision we make which has to do with money affects our lives, we start thinking differently about what? About money. Yep. So once we understand the range of decisions that we take on a daily basis about money, it influences how we act and how we manage our money. I want to then submit to you, like I said, money is not the problem, it is how we manage money that is a problem at the end of the day. Now, if you go to mainstream school curriculum, they do not teach personal finance, right from primary school until university in South Africa. So then that means that we make financial decisions on what I would love to call a trial and error basis. Now, decisions that have to do with our money and our finances that are taken on a trial and error basis often at times makes us to not sleep at night. Now this gentleman, for those of you that don't know him, is Thomas Jefferson. Now the story about this guy is that firstly he was one of America's respected diplomat. He was one of America's well-respected architect. He was one of America's well-respected statesmen. In fact, he was born in the early 1793 and he died in 1826. Now you might ask yourself, why am I very much interested in this guy? Now he was a statesman, a diplomat, an architect, meaning that he had several degrees, including an interest in philosophy and finance. Now when he died in 1826, records tell us that he died poor and broke. More than that, he died with a debt of $107,000 in 1826. For those that think about it, $107 in 1826 is a lot of money. In fact, studies, when they did a research on this guy, they equated it to about 2 million rands debt that he had when he died. In fact, if you convert it to $2, it's more than that. So he died in 1826 with a lot of debt on his name, and he died broke. For those of you that have an interest, perhaps you might ask, why did he die broke and what made him to die broke as a statesman and a former president of the United States of America? What's interesting also about this guy is that he is acclaimed as the guy who wrote the Declaration of... Do you know that declaration? What is it called? The Declaration of Independence, remember it? So he is the guy that authored the Declaration of Independence. But why did he die poor? In the 1726 odd years, he moved away from America and went to stay in France. Now while he was staying in France, he developed a love for wine that was made and manufactured in France. Now when he went back in the late 1726, when he went back to America, he found that the wine that America produces was not to a standard of the people in France. So what did he do? He imported the wine from France to America. And that love for wine is what made him broke and he died poor. In fact, if you look at it, the top 5 statesmen in the world who died poor because of bad financial decisions, he comes up on that list as one of the top 5. So that shows you then that, in fact, the way and the manner in which we manage our money and our finances also has an impact in our quality of what? Our quality of life. Let me tell you also something that's very interesting. Instead of importing the wine that you got from France in wooden boxes, he imported them in glasses. So that then means that the cost of actually importing those wines was more expensive for this guy. You know why he preferred glasses? It's because apparently he was paranoid that if any of the wine was to fall in the sea, it would be watered down by water. So it wouldn't be as strong as you probably wanted then. So that then shows that our finances and the way in which we manage our finances also has an impact on our quality of life. I just want to share with you a few slides.